Welcome along, everybody, to round 16 of season 11 RPL F1. It is time to get this rodeo going in Texas, the USA, Circuit of the Americas. We are here for action once again to end off the weekend, and it's our first RPL F1 race in October of 2024. With that being said, 5 years ago today was race 2 of RPL, and that was our COCOM RPL Tire Irons debut, but also was Zatsy, the original league owner, his first win. Now, we had an owner change just recently with Jack Miles and Luke Grange. Jack Miles now the new owner. We won't get to see history repeat itself in that aspect today, 5 years later, with Jack not being here. But RPL Titan Iron, we're in for a good Grand Prix because with Jack Miles not being here, if Leo Lund wins today, that means he can wrap up the title.
Title could change, could be decided tonight. And not only that, we could possibly be seeing another team getting eliminated from the Constructors' Championship in the form of Aston Martin, and I believe also Ferrari is going to be at severe risk as well.
Correct.
So if the performances do not fare well for Aston and Ferrari, it'll come down to Red Bull and McLaren going forward. I believe probably, if my math could be right, I think the Constructors could possibly end the very next race.
That is correct. McLaren would have to beat Red Bull by quite a margin, and then we'd have 132 points available heading into Vegas. And right now that gap is 104. We'll go over the standings in just a moment, but I want to give a big congrats to our winners so far this weekend. Tier 3 winner Uri, Tier 2 winner Red Fire Tiger, who should be racing tonight, and F2 winners Skither and first-time F2 winner Leo Lund. If he wins tonight as well, he also equals Maxwell for the most amount of wins across all tiers by a Swedish driver. So very developing stuff by Leo Lund if he does end up doing that. Last week in Singapore Titan, we had quite the race. Mixed conditions. I think if I'm correct, quali was dry. I remember quali being dry. Leo gapped the field by almost a full second. Took pole position once again, 4 in a row. Also got 4 victories in a row. McLaren got another one too. And ending off the podium was the Fake TB for the second week in a row, having the same podium as we had in Monza the week prior. But the big storyline was Skither and JTK. Skither in the Mercedes, JTK in the Ferrari. And both them had moments from lap 18, lap 19 onwards where they just could not stop coming to collision or almost coming to collision, and then they finally did. And on the final lap, Skither tagged Egg, got a 10-second for it, and JTK almost went into the side of Skither, but JTK did not get the 10-second removed like you thought he would. The stewards felt that he gained that advantage when he overtook off track and that he should have slotted in behind Skither. He had space to do so, they felt. So he did not get the 10 or 3-second removed at all. So that ended up allowing, I believe, TSR Cryptic and Skither actually to take points with the 10-second.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I honestly thought from the angle of the POV that I saw on the stream, I thought that I actually thought that GTK had a conclusive argument to get those penalties removed, but I mean, unfortunately, the stewards thought differently. I mean, I did question about it and asked them. They said that unfortunately it was because he just No, it wasn't because of like the corner cut itself. It was because GTK took a major advantage re-overtaking Skither and did not return that advantage gained. So probably most likely, I'm thinking in another circumstance, if GTK did return the advantage gained and just asked to just have the straight corner cut removed and then try again to get past Skither later on, it's possible. It is likely possible that it's likely possible maybe that 3-second penalty would have been gone.
Yeah, that I totally understand, and that also applies for the 10-second as well. But it majorly affected a lot of things that happened in the last point spots. You know, Egg got taken out in the final lap by Skither, Academy teammates there. Ding scored points 5 years later on the first ever RPL race, which he scored points in as well. So very big storylines from last week we have, but McLaren got the 1-2 last week, and they've been great in the championship. They lead Red Bull by 104 points, and realistically, they need to go into Brazil gaining that advantage once again if they want to realistically, this is realistically, not mathematically, realistically win the championship next week like you mentioned. Because for McLaren's case, today it's beat Red Bull with both cars and do that again next week in Brazil. And if they do that, they will win the championship because there are 132 points on offer for the constructors after Vegas, or excuse me, after Brazil into Vegas, excuse me. And practically, you're needing, I think, 14 points per race gained in the next 2 races, this week and next week, in order to clinch that Constructors' Championship. And Ferrari and Aston are battling for third quite aggressively. I spoke to Gecko beforehand. He said, from what he said, I believe he's being given to the end of the season to hang on to that Ferrari or not. He was supposed to have until Texas, but he will be given to the end of the season. And speaking of Season 12 lineups, by the way, we have one of those confirmed earlier on today. TSR Cryptic, who is racing in the V-Carb tonight, he is confirmed next season at Aston Martin full-time. So here's what Leo Lund needs to do in order to win the championship tonight. He needs to beat Jack by 21 points, meaning practically since Jack's not here, he needs to win the race. For TB's case, TB is still in third with a long shot. He needs to beat Leo Lund by quite the margin. So here are your drivers on loan or reserving or returning. We have George Alp Williams, the previous Tier 2 winner, 2 of the last 3 weeks. In the Alpine, we've got Hunted returning to the McLaren. Jack Miles is not here. With that being said, we also have Wavy Knife making a return in the Williams. Dom, instead of being in the Williams, is in the Aston. Red Fire's in the Williams. FRC Knight's got his reserve contract extended. He's at Alpine on loan tonight. Devastating Riz, I just want to clarify the name. That is T.S. Korsman. Titan and I laughed about that earlier. That is T.S. Korsman. He is in the Haas tonight. He is returning. And this track, 2 seasons ago, he took out Luke and then kind of retired in the pits after a bit of frustration there on his end. Minico in the Haas, Tadpole returning in the Sauber. Tadpole, remember, he stepped down from Ferrari to go to a reserve role due to Uni kind of stressing him out there. We've got laps starting, Titan, and this is going to be big. It's our home driver, one of 3. We've got Skither, Cookie, and Cam. I don't know if there's a 4th, but 3 home drivers here in Texas. Skither starts his lap. Titan, how about you take it away for Skither here on a lap?
Yeah, so here we go. Skither going through the infamous S section. I want to be careful. There's a car in the way. Ooh, that is Cam right there, and Skither had to back off. So I'm wondering if Cam might find himself in trouble for interfering with Skither's quality lap. Now into turn 11, onto the back straight for the DRS. Back up through the gears, pouring out that overtake. Already back up in the 8th gear, flying through that back straightaway, and disengages the overtake about 3/4 through, heading into sector 2, heavy braking zone into turn 12. Now to end off sector 2, he's going to be total of minute 7.7 for him, minute 1.7 for him. Now into the tricky double switchbacks of 13, 14, 15, 16, and now the triple right hand here of 17 and 18. Nice and easy through, back in the power, light, easy off, into turn 19. Now into the final heavy braking of turn 20, coming out of the last corner, back across the line. DRS quickly engaged, 31.7 to kick off that benchmark for Q1.
Skither, home driver, gets to say he was on top, but just for a little bit. Fake TB is taken over, And Cam now starts the lap, one of our other home drivers. We have 3 home drivers in the event tonight. Like we said, Cam in the Sauber, he scored 2 podiums in RPL F1, 1 FE win. Skither, 66 wins across all RPL tiers. He got one today earlier in F2. And Cookie, the Season 10 champion, who, by the way, is going to be helping his teammates quite a bit here in this qualifying session and onwards. As I kind of snuck a peek in the Red Bull practice with him, Reese, and TB, and they were practicing slipstream. Do not be surprised to see that at some point, either in this qualifying session or the next, to help the V-Carbs get through. George Up Williams is coming through the first sector, and he's got traffic. That is the kick Sauber. I'm not sure if that Sauber's on a lap, but you could see what that does with the dirty air. Korsman splits TB and Skither, 2 Tier 1 champions right there. Titan, a big talking point, as I noticed while George was on his lap, something we did not mention yet, is track limits. You mentioned the S section, even the switchback section as well. We'll see a lot of track limit warnings and penalties tonight. Something that will be hindering our drivers throughout the qualifying session and the race itself.
No doubt about it. That entire S section is very notorious for track limit warnings and penalties. It is very It is very easy to just take a corner a little too early or go just a bit too wide. Another corner that's also bad for track limits. I'm currently still on board with George right now. The corner he just went through right now, turn 19. That is another corner that can also be causing of track limit warnings and penalties as well. So just be careful of that. As George, by the way, crossed the line. It was a 32.5, and Reese right behind is on top of the board, 31.2. I believe from that help of the slipstream from another one of the cars. And earlier in the lap with George, when he ran in that traffic was Tadpole, who had an invalid lap in the Estes.
And that is exactly my point. It can happen anywhere. You also mentioned turn 19, Titan. In the Season 9 event of this race, the 2 Americans, Beatnik and Skither, both collided in that exact corner. And, you know, that kind of made a little bit of speculation, I guess, or at least a little bit of controversy in the sense of this whole rule that we have of racing room in certain corners and allowing drivers to force each other off track. Should that be allowed, considering what had happened in that section? Interesting moments we've had at this track before include also last season when Cookie won from a qualifying ban. He won from last and worst to first. You know, who else can speak about that? George could. He did that in Tier 2 the 2 of the last 3 weeks. Almost did it yesterday as well, pending whatever goes on in the steward's room. Gecko set a lap. JTK set a lap. Cookie set a lap. We got a Sauber spinning right in front of FRC Knights, but that V-Carb gets out of the way in the meantime. FRC Knights makes his return here, and I believe it was this race last season he did. If it wasn't this race, it was the Tier 2 race for sure. A few seasons ago he did at this track, so he does have some Texas experience in recent seasons. No matter the tier, Hunted in the McLaren also went second fastest. We've yet to see Leo Lund and some other contenders out on track, but FRC Knights, Hunted and Leo's Academy teammate here in the Alpine, crosses now and will go 9th fastest. So we have 11 drivers who've clocked in times. Cam will be our next. He was the one who spun around. We'll get to the next guy starting a lap. Cam has just knocked himself into the pit wall. Well, that is not good stuff. Well, we'll go.
What was he up to?
Well, he was locking the rears and he spun out in front of Knights on the lap. We have... Do we have Minico or Wavy? We'll start with Wavy. We'll go on with Wavy. Well, yeah, Wavy's on one, but big lap from Gecko, by the way. Big lap from Hunted. JTK, Cookie, they had not had laps prior. They are behind Reese Dainty. Titan, back in Season 8 in this race, it's interesting how things can be different for certain drivers. Season 8, Reese had no setup, had started from the back, I believe, had the qualifying ban, and he got into a last lap accident with red fire while battling for P5. No setup would definitely hinder you much more on this game compared to 22. But for Cookie's case, he started from a qualifying ban, beat teammate Boardman, Carlson, and Skither for the victory by 6-7 seconds. That's the difference in what Texas can provide for some people's races, depending on how skilled the driver is, depending on how good the car is. Not only that, depending on your wing setup too. That'll be a big thing when we talk about this DRS straight Wavy's on, and also just the racing tonight. We've seen throughout the last few weeks, and we saw it last week's, especially for the victory in Tier 2, so many DRS trains form. So if you have and this is just a scenario, I don't think anybody does in this grid, not that I know of at least, no one has a qualifying ban. No one got put in the lineup slate. But let's say you do start at the back. If you're in that situation, let's say, for example, let's take Cavis or Ding. None of them have laps yet. If you start at the back and you try to recover your way through the field, I think it's actually much harder than what Reese and Cookie were able to do in prior seasons, just because you're stuck in the DRS train. Yesterday in Tier 2, Goggy couldn't get past some of the drivers when he got screwed by the safety car. He was leading over George, and he got put back to 9th. He only recovered to 4th. That's going to be a big thing for these drivers if they get caught out. Can you recover through that DRS train, especially at a track that like this, which is easy to overtake at, but it's tough to get through with the DRS train?
Yeah, DRS can be a big help. But if you're stuck in a DRS train, that can be a bit of a problem for you if you're not careful. But another thing you have to be careful of in regards to the setups being available to you is, well, your tire pressures, especially in the S's. The S's are nasty to your tires if you are not careful. Think back to Season 1, Tier 3 here at this track. I wound up racing it, and the tire pressures did not play nice to me or something.
Nope.
Because let's just say the outer carcass temperature on my fronts. Well, let's see. One of the tires, I was topping over 300 degrees Fahrenheit for the outer carcass in the S's, and it was shredding apart the tires. So if you're not careful with your tire pressures, you could be vulnerable to not only hot tires, but also excessive wear.
Absolutely. Ding is 10th fastest, Cryptic's 8th fastest, and KVS also set a lap that is 5th fastest. Leo Lund was getting a slipstream from Cam, but Leo Lund invalidated. We're on board with Minico now, 25-0. This Haas is going through the first and second sector, and I looked at Minico's lap times before this race. He said this is the most comfortable I've ever felt. Now, if that's the case, you better be right there with your teammate, Korsman, who sits in 11th right now. TB also had some things to say in the driver's chat. He said Cookie's going to axe me after this race. Well, look where TB sits, behind his teammate and behind both V-Carbs. That is not good, but just remember, it's only Q1. Not everybody in top cars like TB is going to take this as serious as you would in Q2 and Q3. Minico gets a 101.5 through the second sector. Let's find out if this is good enough. Remember, it was this race last season, Titan. Minico was supposed to have an opportunity alongside Cookie. That ride went to Bourbon, and Minico was supposed to get loaned out, and, well, there were some complications there, and that didn't end up happening. So do you think, as Minico completes a lap, is this a revenge race for him?
I think it is possible for it to be a revenge race. I mean, here's the thing. Minico has been quite comfortable, as from what you were saying a little bit ago, as he comes across the line, puts in P10 in the Haas. And as you mentioned at the start of the stream, 5 years ago was the second ever race for Tier 1, and you mentioned it was my debut. This was actually the car I was in. I was in the Haas car. And Minico feeling nice and comfortable in that Haas car, running really good. I think he can definitely have some really good shine to him. I'm gonna say this very safely. I think Minico could be a threat to get himself at least a few points come later on in the race. And I was just checking the driver's chat. They don't know exactly when, but I guess there's a chance of rain coming in the race.
That is very true, yes. And with that being said, Tier 2 yesterday we were supposed to have rain and we didn't get the rain, so we'll find out if we do get the rain or not. Remember, Skither said that the host, which is Ding, he set it to perfect weather rather than approximate, so we don't know the details of the rain at all. Cam, by the way, set himself a lap good enough to get into Q2 right now. That is a good effort from Cam, who has really not been on it in the Kick Sauber the last few weeks. We've seen him in races either nearly get lapped at the back of the field, and he's trying to do everything he can with the kick Sauber, but it'd be a very good thing in a home race to get himself into Q2 here. Leo Lund invalidated again when he was out there, so he's going to be at risk of elimination in Q1, crazy enough. Ironically, though, Dom is another one who will be too. He invalidated moments ago, and we'll go on board with FRC Knights or George. Either one are going to go for another one, and, you know, they're above the elimination zone, and no one else is on a lap right now. I think Dom is just starting on. We'll get back to him. But that is big if Cam can get into Q2, but it's also big if that rain does come into effect, as you were saying, Titan. That could be very, very interesting for sure. Yeah, Matty Bassett scored points in this race last season in that mixed condition race that we had. Rain for the first 4 laps, then dry the rest of the way. It was a chance at a podium, I think, at one point for the Haas driver, but as we know, that car is not really anywhere near there, so you're going to get overtaken. And, you know, we can see it even with drivers like Miniko and Korsman who are talented. Still not enough for the top 8 spots.
Oh, here's what I found. When Skither was mentioning about perfect weather and stuff, I just did some little research just for the hell of it, just to see what it was. And apparently, in the F1 games, the difference between approximate weather and perfect weather is that perfect weather is 100% dead accurate, while approximate weather cannot be accurate.
That would make sense then for the 2-2 race yesterday not having rain.
Apparently the default setting, perfect weather is the default.
All right, so we have cars crossing the line with almost less than 2 minutes remaining. Knights betters himself, but he does not improve any places. George, can he do the same? George does the same. Next is Dom. Did he keep this lap valid? Yes, he did. Will this be enough for the top 10 or the top 15? It's enough for 8th place. That puts Cam now back into the bottom 5. And look who's out there starting a lap now. Leo Lund. He's in danger of being eliminated. He has to get this lap valid. If he has any trouble in this lap or anyone blocking him, the big risk for Leo is that you have 14 extra seconds to get a lap in, or else you're not going to make the checkered flag. That's the big thing for him here. Even if he doesn't get this first lap on rails. He comes to the S's, Leo Lund in the McLaren, our championship leader who could win the championship tonight. What's the first sector looking like? It's a 24-7, so no surprise there by the McLaren driver. He's saving all of his laps that he had a chance to do for last. The best for last, they say. But right now, he could be knocking George into the bottom 5, joining Cam, Tadpole, Wavy, and Red Fire if this lap gets complete. And look at the slipstream being given from one of the Alpines. Is it George or Knights? It is George giving Leo the slipstream. Now we head to Sector 3 in just a moment time.
George being quite helpful going into the heavy braking zone. Leo was about a tenth of 1/10 faster than Gecko in Sector 1, probably even faster than him in Sector 2. Let's see. Gecko had just a smidge above a 31 flat, so we could easily see Leo in the mid-30s for Q1. Here we go into the last couple of corners. Just have to be careful not to invalidate. That would really suck to get an invalidation here. As Leo coming across the line now, 30.3, 7/10 of a second clear.
Cam and Tadpole are both back out there. George helped his teammate to get through, and George has been eliminated. George retires from the session. Cam is up by 2/10. Cam could potentially knock George another place lower. And Knight is back out there. He made the checker flag just in time to make sure he can avoid being eliminated by maybe Cam, who's improving. Cam is being towed all the way around the racetrack by Cookie, who invalidated his lap to help out his fellow American and the friend he has known for a decade. This is great friendship right here from the two home drivers. Look at Cookie now going to pull all the way, it looks like. Is he going to pull out now? Yes, he does. Cam, is he improving with the slipstream that he's got the whole way around the track? He goes wide. Oh, that might do it, but Cam is still 4/10 up. He could still dispatch George. I don't know if it'll be enough. Wavy Knife invalidated the lap. He crosses the line. He is out. Red Fire's up by a second. Can he dispatch his teammate? Yes, he dispatches Cam and Tadpole. Tadpole will be first of the Kick Saubers. Can one of the stakes get through into Q2 and knock both Alpines out? Tadpole's not racing in a few weeks, but he will be out. He's behind teammate Cam, who is improving.
Oh.
Cam, at his home race, invalidated and will not do it. That was a 32.150. That still would not be enough, even if it was valid. FRC Knights also invalidated. He backed off, but he didn't need it anyway. He is through in his RPL return to Q2. Eliminated George, both Williams, and both Saubers.
Yeah, both Williams and both Saubers not having the best of times. George, unfortunately, out of Q1 as well, but he did provide the aid to Leo Lund, and that puts him on top. And currently for Q1, it is a McLaren 1-3 with Leo and Hunted there, but Gecko is sandwiched between them in second. But one thing that we got to give credit for, Reese being P4 for Q1. Very, very impressive stuff by him. And he is literally the fastest of the Red Bull Academy cars. I probably misread it wrong, but Cookie, I believe, was 7th. Cryptic was 10th, and TB was down in 11th.
That's unusual, but just remember, it is only Q1. Some of these drivers will take time to improve in Q2 and Q3. We have the session coming to an end. Our bottom 5 is Red Fire, Wavy, both Williams eliminated. We had Cam and Tadpole down there as well. Tadpole getting out qualified by Cam in the Sauber, and George, who assisted his teammate, kind of risked it a little bit. I mean, he knew Leo Lund was going to get through anyway, but he helped Leo Lund get through by even more than what he already was going to. We go on to... Nice one. We go on to Q2, and Leo Lund was on top in that session. I do agree with giving a nice shout-out to Reese Dainty. Even Minico was surprised about that lap in the V-carb that he had. I also want to give a big props to Gecko, by the way, because we've not seen Gecko be in that top 3 much often. Now it seems like he's finally finding that form again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just took a peek at the driver's chat. And once again, we're gonna have another close qualifying here, because from P2 to Gecko all the way down to P14 was separated by only 0.6 of a second. That is how tight and compact these drivers are to each other. I mean, Leo being the outlier, because I mean,
yeah,
Leo is a machine in so far this season, and I'm gonna sound pretty biased because I am a co-TP. I'm actually very happy I signed him to McLaren.
Well, I don't blame you for that one. And remember, he is re-signed for the next season. TSR Cryptic also got through in the V-carb. Remember, he is signed to Aston Martin, who got both their drivers through, Ding and Dom. That sounds like a movie or a TV show, Ding and Dom. Well, regardless, though, you know, Dom didn't get through in the Williams this time. He got through in the Aston. And I'm interested to see a few things for this session and for the remainder of tonight. Ding and Dom, which teammate beats the other? Dom, it was this race, I think, in Tier 2, where he was up in the top 5 quite a bit in the Haas. And Ding is a Tier 1 champion, so I'm interested to see what happens there. I'm also interested to see who goes out here, too, because, look, I mean, we have Minico and Korsman, 2 drivers in the Haas who are very skilled, very talented. Korsman doesn't like this track. Does he get through? Minico, he felt really comfortable, but, you know, he was so close to everybody. And the thing that I'm interested to see as well, to your point that you were making about Leo, who starts lap, we'll run on board with him, is the gap between Leo and second place going to be bigger than the gap second place to really wherever far back we go to, about like 11th or 12th? Because as you were saying in Q1, Titan, it was a close field behind Leo. Obviously, Leo was running away with it, but it's a close field behind that. And that's where all that gets settled, right here in Q2, which starts now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Leo currently navigating his way through the S's. We'll have something to mention after his lap, but here he goes up the hill, now down the hill, heading into the heavy braking zone of turn 11. He is in 3rd gear this time. I'm seeing a few drivers taking that corner in second gear. But just like
Mm.
seeing with Skidler, pouring that ERS deployment and basically canceling at the same spot. So Leo and Skidler, compared for their runs, they are using the same amount of deployment available to them as Leo Lund now going into the double switchback. A little looseness coming out of turn 14. Well, it should be. Looks like he's okay, but weathering that loose storm here. Now going through 17 and 18 now. Foot to the floor. Down to the heavy braking zone. Ooh, little right of the curb. I'm surprised he didn't go wide going out of 19. But Leo coming across the line. 31.1 for his time. That is 8/10 slower than its Q1 time.
Which might mean that he is on a used set. Gecko goes faster, 30.5. Gecko also had a car behind him. That is the Haas. Ding set a lap third fastest. Cryptic, TB, they all slot in times behind that. We've got Cookie also crossing the line to go behind TB. It looks like some of these guys are on used sets from what we're seeing right now, but I'm very surprised about the pace we're seeing from Red Bull right here with both their drivers being behind TSR Cryptic. Gagi says he's race engineering JTK tonight. Well, we'll keep an eye out on JTK later on. I know we got JTK F1 fan in chat. Miniko is starting a lap or completing one. No, he's starting one, but he's on no ERS. All right, then. Well, Korsman invalidated. Yeah, well, I mean, Miniko's got no ERS. Korsman invalidated. Skedler goes third. And I want to watch the star of Q1 for a moment, Reese Dainty here. He did not race Texas last season, but he finished runner-up to ads in the Season 9 race here. He will cross, and he's third. So I'm interested to see here. I'll put on the tires. It won't tell us who's on used or new sets, but I'm interested to know of these drivers as Ferrari Go 1-2, who is on used and who is on new sets. We'll find out by the end of the session, but I think the big surprise right now is still Red Bull here. You're behind both your V-Carb drivers. That's not good.
That is a bit of a unique little twist. Maybe it's the slipstream playing into the factor of a lot of these guys, but a couple of them don't have that slipstream advantage. You know, you had me laughing a little bit when you were mentioning Ding and Dom. I'm going slightly in the gutter in my brain mental for this one. But you just mentioned Ding and Dom a few times. I'm thinking in my head, Dom from Fast and Furious, just ringing the doorbell. Ding Dom, I'll bring pizza for your family.
I was thinking what JTKF1 fan mentioned. He said Ding and Dong sounds like a spin-off for Dumber and Dumber. Or Dumb and Dumber.
That's actually
I thought of that.
Actually.
Yeah. Well, look, here's Knights.
Instead of Dumber and Dumbest, we get Ding and Dom.
Well, Knights, once he completes this lap, he will be the 12th guy to have done a lap in Q2, and it could be knocking... Well, he's backed off of this lap. I was going to say it could be knocking Cookie and TB both into the bottom 5, which would be a very big surprise. I don't think we have anybody out on track right now. We've got Dom, who completed a lap, and KVS, who completed a lap going second fastest. I know you mentioned the slipstream. Used and new tires are quite a big difference too, especially in Q2 here with what we're seeing. I think that's probably why we have both Red Bulls down there. But the fact of the matter is, the fact they're both behind both V-Carbs and being outruled by the Season 9 lineup of Reese and Cryptic at Red Bull, now in the V-Carbs, is the big shock to me. I know there's still a long way to go. We got 8 minutes, but I did not have that on my bingo card. And who would? Who would have that on their bingo card, both Red Bulls being down there like they are? They still have a chance to claim second in the Constructors, even if they get eliminated eventually, but, you know, Ferrari and Aston would have to have a lot better races in order to do that. Hunted turns on the battery to start his lap, and RPL Titan Iron, this is one of your Academy drivers. I'll have you take over. Turn 1 we go.
So here we go. Hunted going through turn number 1. And there's a little traffic there to Mercedes out of the way through turn 2. Now into the fun S section. 3, 4, 5. Wrong way to 6. Now up into 7,
Counting with Titan.
8, 9. Slingshotting his way through. Oh, he made a mistake somewhere. He just backed off.
That is not good. We're going to have quite a bit till we start a lap again. We got both Red Bulls back out there with that being said. And, well, in the meantime, how about we take the advantage to mention one of the previous Texas races because, you know, Luke Grange, he stepped down as owner. I want to mention the one that he was in contention with Skither and Cryptic for a few seasons ago. A 3-car race at the front of the field back on F122. I forget if it was season 7 or season 8, but I'm interested to see if, for whatever reason, let's say, obviously we know Leo Lund is so far in front that he probably, not as a guaranteed victory, but if he is not in contention by it, do we have that 3-car race again? That'll be a big thing I'm wondering to see. TB, the Season 8 champion, I think it was that same exact season that it was Cryptic, Luke, and Skither for the victory. It was the same season TB won the championship. He's going to the S's now, and he's put it in medium here, and he's up by 4/10. I think it has to be said, Titan, with how much he's improving through just that one sector alone, and Cookie's about to do the same, that first run had to be used tires, no doubt about it. But was it sandbagging too then?
I don't think it was. I don't think it was sandbagging. If you're training yourself on a used set, you're just basically just preparing, just getting your car more set up and more comfortable, ready to go for a brand new spanking set, ready to go on there. As like I said, TB is up by almost 0.8 of a second.
Validated.
So he, oh, that's a big rip on his part, unfortunately. Let's see what Cookie's got.
Go to
Well,
him.
Cookie's first sector, he's basically matching TB. Is he gonna match in at sector 2?
Oh.
Whoa, no, way faster. 1.6 seconds. That's gonna put him pretty high up into the 31s at this moment. Once Cookie crossed the line, I have a little interesting fact here. Once this is all said and done here. So here comes Cookie now, out of 18, heading into 19, into the last corner here of turn 20. Across the line, let's see what improvement he's got. Cookie heads up to second fastest, 30.667, is just about a 10.5 behind Gecko. So here is the unique fun fact for you. If Red Bull secures winds up getting second in the Constructors' Championship and they don't win the Constructors, this is going to be the first time since Season 4 that Red Bull has not won a Constructors. The last time it was Mercedes back in Season 4. But another fun fact, if Red Bull does, if Red Bull securing second in the Constructors, in the Constructors podium, first, second, and third, Red Bull has appeared on the podium in every single season.
Yeah.
And same apply, I believe also the same thing, I would say the same thing would apply to Mercedes, but unfortunately, season 10 they missed out on it, and this is going to be the second season in a row that Mercedes will miss out on a Constructors' podium.
And if McLaren win the Constructors' Championship, which seems like it's almost inevitable, they would do it after having 2 second-place finishes. Cryptic and Skither went 5th and 7th fastest after Cookie completed his lap, and we now have some of our bottom 5 drivers out on the track to try and retake some positions that they may have had back in Q1, or can maybe get themselves in a Q3 by doing. Hunted will be the first one. We'll ride on board with the Welshman, the Tier 2 champion of Season 10, and the pole sitter at this circuit back in Season 11, his first rodeo with McLaren. As for our bottom 5 right now, we have TB, Hunted, Knights, Korsman, also known as Devastating Riz, and Minico down there. Hunted, now coming through the S section, riding on board these curbs right here, trying to find all the bits and pieces he can to, well, really avoid not improving at all and avoid being in the bottom 5 here, because right now he is the one down there with TB Knights, Academy teammate there, and both Haas drivers. Now we go to the last braking zone before the back straight. Heavy braking zone right there. You can see a little lockup on the left front, but he should be okay. Now just drain that battery. You hear politicians sometimes say, drill, baby, drill. Well, it's drain battery drain. That's what it is for Hunted right here. Now you go to the braking zone here, the heavy one, as we end off Sector 2. Hunted, we've seen his teammate do a 101.1, I believe, on the lap he did. It's a 60.8 for Hunted, so it's 0.3 better. And if all the other drivers who are on track right now complete their laps, Hunted should be safe because this could get him up to anywhere from 2nd to 4th if the lap continues to improve itself. Now, 2 more corners remaining for Hunted. Remember, he sat on pole once here in Tier 2, so he has quite the experience around Texas with this McLaren. That's where he got his first pole with McLaren. Now, he'll go fastest in Q2. The Welshman, the Season 10 Tier 2 champion, is on top right now in this session. Skither was on another lap. He'll cross the line next. He doesn't need to do this lap, but he'll do it anyway. He will not improve. Behind that, we have an Aston and a McLaren. Ding goes 9th fastest, avoids being in that bottom 5, knocking Dom there. Leo Lund will cross and will go faster than Hunted, but it's only by less than 0.3. Next is the Alpine of Knights, and now everybody has started a lap here on track. We have Korsman, one of our drivers, crossing the line with the Red Bull of TB in front. TB needs an improvement. Is it enough? Yes, it is. Korsman only goes to 10th. So now we're talking about the bottom 5 being some drivers who need to seriously improve, who we didn't think would be there. Reese is down there, 0.5 up on the time currently. He's our next one to come across. And this will be the last lap before the checker flag starts waving in front of our eyes. Reese Dainty was very good in Q1. Can he replicate that for Q2? Across the line, he beats Cryptic. So now Cryptic is the one on the bubble, knocking Korsman out, and he will definitely be out. He invalidated. Miniko across the line now, and he is ahead of teammate Korsman.
But just missed out on Q3 by 0.07 of a second. But there's only one drive.
Is in.
Wow.
Cryptic's out.
Is Knights
and Reese could be 2.
Upset?
Reese could be 2 if Knights completes this lap successfully. Ding is out as well. Ding is not going to do another one. Neither will both Haas drivers. Not enough in that car, but is there enough in the Alpine of Knights to complete this lap and get through? Remember, TB, Skither, all those guys, they don't need to go back out. They already are safe right now. It's just down to Knights versus Reese. Cryptic's out. Will he be joined by teammate Reese in the V-Carb? No.
Oof.
Knights is out as well.
Yeah, I just noticed, by the way, Reese and Skither, they set the exact same lap.
But I gave it to
30.983 for them.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, your bottom 5 is Cryptic, who's been on podium quite a bit here in Texas in the past. Season 9, his most recent appearance. Miniko in that bottom 5. We have Korsman down there as well. Miniko beat Korsman. That's a big surprise, but Korsman does not like this racetrack, so we'll give some benefit there to Korsman, who usually does beat most of his teammates when he races. Miniko, very good at qualifying effort then in the Haas. Ding is down there. His teammate is in. There's like I said, I was interested to see the gap between him and Dom. It's almost a second gap between the two. I don't know if Ding made a mistake or not, but that's huge. And Knights was the only Alpine in, but he's out of qualifying. And his return, he's going to be 15th on the grid.
And TB really hates the track. He says this track with no line is really horrible to him. And Cookie just wound up saying Reese decided to wait till he was demoted to start doing good in qualifying.
Yeah. And in fact, he's out-qualified his teammate through the last 4 weeks. That's brand new for him. Well, in the relegation zone, Cryptic, Miniko, Korsman, Ding, Knights, eliminated, out. Yeah, Reese has out-qualified his teammate 3 of the last 4 weeks. It feels like forever since he did that. Probably back to his championship season, you'd have to go for him doing that. The big surprise in Q3, it has to be said, AMS Dom. I know Egg is not here, so it feels like Dom has kind of taken the place of Egg doing the good job he usually does. And Dom, we've seen him make a few Q3 appearances in a Williams. No surprise that he's here, but the fact he was up in P4, that's a good effort. Very good effort, actually.
Yeah, very, very true. I'm just seeing the stream on my cell here. 15 individuals watching. Well, take your predictions. Who do you think is going to be top 3? What do you think poll time is going to be? And you know what? I'm just going to say this. Who do you think will be second and third? Because we know it's going to be Leo on poll. So if it is going to be Leo on poll, that'll lead to the third piece. How far will Leo be ahead of second?
Well, I don't know if you're, pole position could be correct here, because I've just set out a $500 bounty for Leo Lund in the chat, so just so you're wrong.
By the way, it's starting to rain.
Well, that is big. That is why everybody is out on track right now or getting out there.
Because I just saw the rain flash pop up on my screen.
Well, there you have it. It'll matter who is out first and doing a lap with that being said. Well, either way, in the pit lane right now, or at least waiting to come out, Leo Lund, JTK, Dom is coming out now, and TB is in the pit lane. So you spoke about the rain here. It's coming down, you said, right?
Well, that's what it was. I was on board with KVS in Sector 1, and then I just saw the raindrop thing flash on my end.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
what
I see it.
In Sector 1.
It's like very, very small. I think I see it. Yeah, you can't see much of it, but if that's the case, though, nonetheless,
I'd say something else that might be small, but I don't want to get
oh,
expand.
Neither do I, but you know what? We'll wish those in Southern Ireland, not Southern Ireland, Ireland or any country in general, like the one Dom is in, a National Vodka Day. That was yesterday, by the way. So, yeah, I wish we could go in here, but we don't.
More vodka.
Well, here we go for our first Q3 laps. Yeah. Well, here we go for our first Q3 laps. Gecko is the first one, and we'll ride on board with Gecko, who has not had a pole position in a season here in RPL F1. It's been since Zandvoort of last season that Gecko was on pole position. And in fact, if you want to go so far back for Gecko, we'll go even one step further for this man. It has been quite a while since he last won an RPL race. You'd have to go back 188 races. That's how long it has been for Gecko to win. Nonetheless, here he is on a lap that could set him on provisional pole. 60.5, his teammate JTK got out of the way in the background for a Mercedes, and that's why you saw that Ferrari going wide. Nonetheless, Gecko, a little snap there. He should be okay. He'll use the battery to kind of regain some lost ground, and he'll have 2 more corners remaining to try and get pole position and set the benchmark.
Yeah, here comes Gecko into the final corner now as he comes out and comes across the line now. 30.2 for the benchmark. That's a solid lap on his end. KVS responds with a 30.6 for him. Reese next to come across the line. Ooh, little wild slide out of the exit of the final corner. 31.5 though. So, I mean, if the track stays dry enough and the rain doesn't affect too much, maybe Reese could try to go back out there and try again to get himself another run. Hunted, 30.8. Same with Skither. Only 11,000 separates them. And Cookie, by the way, back on his form, puts himself fastest by only 0.04 of a second.
If he takes pole position tonight, he'll have pole number 24, and Ty Skither, who is second all-time. Across the line now is AMS Dom in the Aston Martin. He invalidates Yep, and that will be not anything for him because he can't even do this lap at all. He invalidated this and the next lap when he came across there. We have some Ferraris playing some magic here in qualifying. We have some Slipstream being enabled here. You know, I know NASCAR is racing at Talladega this weekend, but, you know, I guess start your Slipstream and draft games early, right? That's what JTK and Gecko have done at Ferrari. JTK getting the toe there down the back straight. We'll have TB and Leo come across to complete laps, but JTK got his best ever qualifying in RPL F1 last week with a P2. Can he dispatch Cookie and go provisional pole? Across the line, the Dutchman comes, and he will be only third. So the Slipstream did a little bit, but not enough. Leo Lund is doing a 60.4 in the middle sector. TB did a 61.4. So for TB's case, TB is almost pretty much a whole second slower than what Leo Lund is doing right now, which could be very big if there is the rain you're talking about. I don't see really anything on our lens anymore, but Leo Lund will be the first one across of those guys yet to complete laps. Leo Lund, can he go to pole position once again? Across the line, he will go to pole position and sit on there right now for a 5th consecutive time just provisionally. Leo Lund is on top, and it would be pole 13 if he takes it.
I'm just taking a look at the sectors, by the way, between these guys, and comparing them all together. Leo compared to Cookie, 2/10 faster in sector 1, 3/10 faster in sector 2, and almost 2/10 faster in sector 3.
Wow. So we have quite the qualifying session in our hand, is what I'm hearing.
That definitely sounds that. And by the way, with AMS Dom, had he not gotten invalidation, if his time did actually count, he would be between the Ferraris of Gecko and GTK. He had a 30.3 in that Aston Martin. Well, unfortunately, because of that invalidation, it didn't count. So he is the only guy there with no lap, but he had a 30.3, which would have put him right behind Gecko in 4th place.
Skither just had an invalidation. You were speaking about invalidations. That's really killing a lot of drivers tonight. That's for sure. Our home driver
no doubt.
and previous winner of this race, Skither, yeah, he invalidated on the lap. Yeah, he's just trying to get back to the pits as quick as possible while being frustrated, as we could see on our screen. Nobody is out on track right now, but we do have one coming out. Thought we did. No, 2 coming in. Never mind. 3 coming in. Alright, so in the meantime, let's talk about the upcoming races for RPL for those interested. We have a chance to do that. By the way, I see those of you in Twitch chat. Minico is saying him for pole. Yeah, no, you can't even get pole Minico right now. And even if you were in this session, Minico, I think the best would be P3. I believe that's your best qualifying in RPL F1. JTK F1 fan said pole. I think so. I don't know if I'm going to try to pronounce that correctly or not. Vir RPL said, did the race end? Well, no, this is qualifying. This is Q3. We have 3.5 minutes remaining to decide pole position for the race, and that's when the race will start, and the race should end in about an hour time. So our next upcoming races for next week, Tier 3 will be in Monza. F1 and Tier 2 have already raced there, so I hope those drivers are watching back those races to see what they could do for that race this weekend. Tier 2 and F2 both are in Singapore. No championship can be won yet there, I believe. And F1's final 4 races to end the season will conclude in Brazil, Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi. We now have drivers coming back on track, and our first one, Titan, is AMS Dom. He's the only one not to have a lap on our board. I'm not going to predict any pole time. I'm not going to predict any top 3, but I'll give you some fun facts here in the meantime. Leo Lund is trying to go for a 5th straight pole. Cookie's trying to go for pole 24, his 3rd in the season, and it would tie him with Skither's 2nd all time. Gecko is trying to get on pole position for the first time in a season. JTK, his best starting spot is 2nd. And with that being said, NRM KVS and Skither currently lock out the 3rd row. But will they hold on to that with two big-name cars in the McLaren and the Red Bull behind them? That's going to be the question.
Well, don't discount Reese and Dom too, because like I said, Dom could have gotten himself into the top 4 with that first lap. I just hope he could recreate that magic on this final run, as he is, as the last of the cars which is coming out. I believe the last one was GTK, wasn't it? Yes, it was. GTK is the last of the batch to come on out. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see about with Dom. I think Dom could possibly, if he does keep it valid and puts that car in the top 5, I will be very impressed, and that's probably going to be the big shock of the qualifying session.
I'll have you take us through the first 2 sectors of Dom's lap, but I just want to mention that Skither said the lack of traction in this Merc is amazing, and I'm gonna guess that's
I did see that.
sarcasm. Yeah, and Cookie asked Leo, "Are you going out again?" Minico says, "That feels like a dumb question." So, yeah, a little fun exchange there in the driver's chat. Titan, I'll have you take us through Dom's lap as we get our quest for pole position going now. I'll have you give it back at the start of Sector 3.
Yeah, so here we go. Dom navigating his way through the S's, just taking that line, making sure he doesn't invalidate, keeps it nice and smooth, out through turn 10, out into the heavy braking zone of turn 11. Little lockup going into the corner, but keeps it well in tow. Back up into the gears now. Off to 7th gear at the DRS detection line. Back in 8th. Just keeps that DRS available down to the up into the next heavy braking zone and sector 2. Nice and easy on through down to 3rd gear. And he's minute 6. Not bad for the sector 2.
KVS, who's behind Dom right now, was better in the first sector, but is down currently in the second sector, needing to find time in that Mercedes. Dom puts on the battery, and you can see he's already going below 30%, and Dom invalidates, so Dom will start in 10th because of that. Checkered flag is going to be waving, but Dom will see it first and will still be down there. KVS is up just marginally. Behind him, we have the Ferrari of Gecko, who is down as well right now. KVS is going to cross first of the drivers on valid laps, and he invalidates 2 in turn 19. Next is Gecko. Gecko crosses now. Where can Gecko go? Yes, up to the front row. It's an improvement. Leo Lund invalidates on the last lap. Hunted improves to 4th. Behind are the Red Bull drivers. TB is first, and he's up by 6/10. He needs more if he wants to get a few places up on the grid. Here comes the fake TB, who's not had a pole position in RPL since Season 8. The season he won the championship. Across the line, he'll come only 5th. He is 2nd of the Red Bull guys in this session. Next is Reese, the other Red Bull guy, in the V-Carb. Cross the line, he'll come. Does he better himself? Only just. Cookie will stay 3rd. Skither complained about the traction of this car, but goes up to 5th. JTK is 6th. Leo Lund didn't need the lap in the end to improve on. He just needed the first one. Pole position 5 times in a row.
You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me, Dom. If you do not invalidate, you had 2nd place. If Dom didn't invalidate 30.063, that would have put him 2nd. He would have been on the front row. Oh,
that would have been his best starting spot, too. Wow. Minico talking about Reese, Leo, and Cookie almost crashed at the final corner as well. That would have been big for this session, but lots of improvements from drivers. Other drivers not finding enough. Here is your qualifying order for the race. Leo Lund is on pole for a 13th time. All time and the season, but 5 in a row for pole positions for Leo, who can win the championship tonight. Gecko is 2nd. Another front row for him. That's Ferrari still having a lot of front rows with him this season. No pole for Gecko this season. Cookie is 3rd. Hunted is 4th. Skither 5th. And running out the top 5. Skither starting alongside JTK. TB, KVS, Reese, and Dom rounded our top 10. TB back there quite a bit. A little bit of a surprise there, but as he said, this track is frustrating on no line. I'm sure that's having an effect on him for sure. will come to the race, which should be a one-stop, but if there's rain, that may change the complexion of the event, no doubt about it. 28 laps here, and time to go boogity, boogity.
Indeed.
What are your predictions, Titan, and even chat, for lap 1? What do we expect? I mean, we've had trouble happen down at turn 1 here before. We've had trouble in the yes section. What are we expecting here for the race? Oh, we do have rain at the end of it's going to be halfway through. Okay, so this will be interesting to see who starts mediums and hards, or even softs to go a gamble. Probably not anyone's going to start softs, but yeah, what do we expect them to start then, nonetheless, with that being said? Rain at the 4th patch.
Rain at the fourth patch. That would, if my guess is right. Let's see. There's 7 patches, so on the 4th patch, that means the rain will be showing up somewhere between laps 13 to 16. So
yeah,
probably the mediums and the hards are definitely going to be the best bet.
And what about the start? 15 seconds.
That's it. I won't be surprised if we see a collision in, going into or in the S's. I won't be surprised if we see a collision somewhere.
Yeah, we're going to have a crazy start with there being rain later on in the event. That's for sure. Here we come in Texas once more. The 5 red lights kick on. And it's time to bring the action in Texas. Leo Lund off the line will try to cover Gecko. Movement behind. Cookie to the inside of Gecko. These two have collided before. They're going to be wheel to wheel, and they do make contact. Lots of contact there. Cookie inside of them. They're 3 wide further behind. That's TB and a Mercedes sandwich. They're 2x2 and multiple rows getting the S's. They've got to calm it down, and they do. The Sauber of Cam has gained a few places at the start. And now down at the back, we have trouble. George is out. He's in the wall. That's a safety car. Lap 1 safety car. Already into the 2nd sector. George out immediately.
What happened to George? I was watching from the back end, and then something happened with George, because there was probably a collision with somebody, and just saw George just get rocketed off to the wall on the S's.
Here are your positions gained from lap 1 so far. JTK and TB, we saw a lot of movement from that 3rd, 2nd row. That was part of it. JTK and TB, they gained spots on Skither, who went down 2. Of the drivers still remaining in this race, Skither is the biggest loser of them all. And Cam and Tadpole have gained 2 places. They're the only ones to do so far. Cam DM'd me during Q3 saying, look for both Saubers to get in the top 10 by the end of lap 1. They're not in the top 10, but they've both gained 2 places, him and Tadpole have.
Yeah, I mean, during the S's, I was on board with Skither. One of the Ferraris, GTK, got one of getting hooked on by Hunted. But thankfully, they got themselves off each other and fixed each other around. Minico's hanging into the pits.
He has damage.
Got damage early on.
He definitely does. Saw that on the end plate.
And also, I just saw in the driver chat, I wonder what will happen with TB, because apparently, Skither noted that TB almost wiped out 5 cars.
And Red Fire is going with a big gamble. He's thinking the rain's going to be here any moment. He's on intermediate tires.
Well, this is going to be an interesting one.
I'm interested to know how long until this rain is going to come. I'm going to check with JTK quickly, because he's in a well, for me, a joinable voice chat with Goggy, who's engineering him. I'm going to ask, actually, I won't even go in there. I'm just going to ask Goggy what he is saying in Twitch chat. He is saying rain in 5 minutes. So that is why Red Fire is going with the gamble. If this gamble wins out, we could see a Season 7 Zandvoort type of moment where Williams get themselves onto the podium due to the help of strategy and great driving.
Well, I mean, to be fair, as you also mentioned Season 7 Zandvoort, Red Fire did do something similar during the Season 7 Zandvoort race. He did pit quite a bit earlier during a safety car, because he thought the rain was coming earlier, and he predicted it correctly. By the end of the safety car when the safety car came in, about a lap after the safety car came into the pits, everyone was going into the pits to get onto the intermediate tires. And
This safety
Red
car
and
might
Red
come in
Fire,
late, though. That's the problem
Red
for him.
Fire,
He needs it to stay out another lap for Red Fire to actually have the rain come here in time in the 5 minutes. I don't know if we'll have the safety car in or not. I just thought I'd interrupt on that because we could get a late call. Just an FYI.
I think it could be. It could be, honestly, as
What are
yeah,
these
I mean,
doing?
if like I said, Red Fire could possibly be leading a Tier 1 race, I believe, probably for the first time since that Zandvoort race. I mean, Zandvoort, he led for quite a bit, and yeah, I see Tadpole coming in.
Yeah, we have 2 drivers ducking in and joining them.
That's both Salvers. They're gonna double stack.
It's the highlighters. They want to be the highlight. That's for sure. Well, for Red Fire's case here, Titan, I think this is smart. You mentioned Season 7 Zandvoort. You know, we didn't really have... I mean, yes, we had Skither that season, but we didn't have a dominant driver in the likes of Leo or Cookie or Luke Range the way we have back in that race, but we do this season. And interestingly enough, with Red Fire's case here, I think this is smart. You're not in the car to beat Leo Lund here. You really, in my opinion, no disrespect, and it's also the car they're in too, have no chance of beating Leo or any of the other drivers in the top 5 or 6. Go for a gamble, find something different, and beat them. Beat the drivers you might not be able to beat on raw pace, and do it by strategy. Matty Bissett went a lap early when we went to the dry tires, and he started up there in qualifying, and if it weren't for the race getting, you know, as dry as it did as early as it did, maybe we wouldn't have seen the Haas drop back as much. Red Fire here, if he wins on this restart, he'll have a big enough gap to beat Leo and them. But the interesting thing I think that's different than that Zandvoort race, though, is Jacob made those tires last the whole way. It was a few laps later than Red Fire, I believe. Red Fire pitted earlier and then pitted for the last 7 laps on a fresh set of tires. If this is the case, you got to make sure you get those tires to the end. That will be the big thing. The safety car should be coming in this time, and it is. So if this strategy works out big, it will help Red Fire and the 2 kick Saubers.
Yeah, so let's see how Gecko responds to Leo Lund here on this restart. And by the way, very quickly, just before we get the restart going, George, the reason he crashed,
Just saw that.
equipment failure. His wheel force feedback has failed. His wheel would not was stuck in the left position, so he could not get it. He could not get it unstuck. So equipment failure by George, that ends him off, and Leo taking off. We're back on the way.
So right now, I'm going to put the gap on the leader to Red Fire and the Saubers to Leo. 6 seconds right here. So when Leo does pit, that's like a 20-second pit stop. Be a 14-second gap if they pitted right now and went onto the injures. That's just an update on what that strategy could be if it works out. Side by side for third place, Cookie and Hunted racing it out here. And Cookie has the better of him right now. Further back, Korsman is racing Dom here for 11th place on our board. The intermediate guys have lost quite a bit of time, but not too much. Now, side by side, Ding and Knights. Little ding-dong battle here. And speaking of Ding, he almost got hit to the side of, and he did again. There's a bit more contact down there between the pair of them. They've got to be careful not to lose DRS to the front of the field. You have to be in this DRS train to have a chance. And there goes Korsman and the Haas sending one on Dom. He gets the move complete. And right now, Leo leads Gecko by 5/10 on this restart to Sector 3. Further back, we have that Alpine still racing Ding here. That's Knight and Ding, the 2 of them battling it out. And Ding will go for it. No, he'll tuck back in.
Meanwhile, further up ahead, Hunted slingshots into the second switch back against Cookie. Does he make a stick? Yes, he does. Hunted up into the 3rd place spot. Very ambitious, very nice maneuver by Hunted. Gets it past Cookie and into the podium spot.
Also remember, if the strategy does not work out the way it does for Red Fire, Tadpole, and Cam to have a big enough lead, if they get overtaken and know what their spots are, they'll be fighting for either the podium or they will be fighting for their academy teammates here of Gecko, JTK, and even the two Mercs. That's what is at stake for those guys who are further back, by the way. Now, Knights and Ding once again race it out at turn 1. It's Ding who gets the dive bomb complete this time. Apologies on missing that Hunted and Cookie battle that we had, but JTK is right on the back of Cookie now for 5th place. JTK has never finished in the top 5 in Tier 1, and we should be any moment away from the rain.
It's possible. Maybe the rain could be showing up. We don't know possibly. But Gecko, I believe, just missed out on DRS.
Here it is.
With Leon, yeah, the rain's here.
Now, what's the gap with Leo and Red Fire? 13 seconds. So when Leo does pit, whenever that may be a 7-second gap. We're going defensive now on the back straight. Here's JTK on the inside of Cookie. Cookie went to defend. JTK went to overtake and got the move done. Further behind, we have Ding down 2 places because he's being passed by 2 cars in 1 straight, who he's making a switchback on now. Now there's contact with Minako and Ding right there for 2nd place. Hunted in the switchback corners again. The twisty section has got the move done on Gecko. Do our leaders come in knowing the situation with Red Fire and Tadpole? Do they wait and stay out? Leo's going wide. He went wide in turn 19, but he does not come to the pit lane. None of the top 5 do.
Gecko almost lost it going into the braking zone, the final corner. TB is coming in though.
JTK is fighting teammate Gecko. Remember, in the F2 race, Leo and Night Owl, 2 Prema drivers, were fighting very egregiously to be the first one into the pits. It ended up costing Leo in the end with the F2 cars very big on the double stack there. It costed him a chance at a podium in the feature race in the wet conditions. We could be seeing the same thing here from Ferrari or McLaren. Minako is off. There was contact with Ding.
They were side by side.
I didn't catch it. My bad.
Yeah, that was scary to watch.
Well, we've got cars going off. That's the Mercedes of Skither right in front of his teammate. JTK and Cookie almost had it coming together too. KVS is ahead of Skither, and now Cookie is trying to repass JTK. Remember, there's still DRS in these conditions, and the gap between Red Fire and Leo is 17 seconds. That gap is finally starting to come down because the track is too wet. Luckily, Leo and them are at a spot to where they can pit here. Further behind, Minako has got Wavy on the straight, but is sliding into the corner. No one has grip out here, so we do expect them to come in. And look at this. Skither and Reese got very close to coming together right there. Nobody has any grip on this track right now. They will have to pit. Red Fire's gap to Leo is coming down. That does mean it's time to come in. DRS disabled. That for sure means it.
Ooh. GTK gets himself another warning box here. And here comes
3 second
everybody.
box. And he stays out. JTK stays out. He's waiting because his teammate went in. He didn't want to. Yeah, he didn't want to double stack, but this is gonna cost him. Look at Cryptic staying out as well. What's the gap gonna be between Leo and Red Fire here when everything cycles out? Minako and JTK both have time penalties to start this event. That is not good. Red Fire is on the main straight, and he will take the net lead of this race. Leo Lund exits the pits, and there's the Sauber of Tadpole.
Well, Leo's gonna have the Sauber Tadpole to deal with before he gets himself back into a fighting position here. And by the way, another driver that opted to stay out. Wait a minute. Oh, did he pitted, didn't he? Oh my God,
well, Dom went to dries. Yeah,
injured.
Dom went to mediums. Here we go. And Dom is trying to get out of the way while Hunted and Skither and also Cookie got affected by the double stack. Look at what that's done. Look at how far they're back. Big developments to this race. Hunted is now racing Academy teammate Knights. So this will affect things for sure. And Hunted is damage. Hunted is damage on the McLaren. Something has happened. We've had a lot happen, in fact, but something has happened there. Leo gets Tadpole for net P2.
Yeah, Tadpole.
We're all
Tadpole tried to hit in the overtake to try to keep Leo behind, but just couldn't get it done. But now Leo is now in pursuit of the Williams of Red Fire. Well,
Hunted
and
is overtaken again. He's got to pit. He's got damage. I don't know what happened to him, but this is a big chance at points over. Now, the only thing I could think of, and who knows what could happen, Cryptic stays out on tires, and look at this, gets in the way of Leo as Red Fire overtakes him. Look at this, Cryptic's trying to get to the pits. Whoa, JTK is in from the lead. Red Fire will lead the lap, but I was just going to say as Leo takes over the lead now, if this gets enough to wet tires, we'll have to find out. We do see a patch later on forming that will be wet enough for it, but are the tires worth it? Leo is through, and TB is through on Tadpole. It may be a race between Leo and TB.
Yeah, but Leo is pulling away, is already easily pulling away from TB as Ding just gets himself into the penalty box for track limit warnings. That is out in the turn number 2. That's where it is. And Leo already 1.5 seconds clear of Red Fire after passing him on that main straight. Here comes TB. Moves on to the outside. He's going to be forced to take the long way around to get past Red Fire. Oh, here's the switcheroo. And TB, this slingshot's by. He's up in the second.
While that was happening, Hunted pitted for his damage. Dom pitted for his first dose of intermediates, and we still have a battle for second. Red Fire is coming back at it. Gecko is there with Tadpole in the background. We got a collision almost down into the braking zone. That was so close with Red Fire and TB to being a race-ending collision. Luckily, no damage on either car, but that could have ended in tears for both of them. We still have a Williams on the podium in this race right now. Drivers who got affected by the double stack majorly or having to wait a lap in pit. JTK, who's falling down the order. Cryptic, Hunted had damage, but he did get affected by the double stack. Skither did too.
Yeah, those three had their races affected pretty badly here. So Gecko, by the way, down the inside against Red Fire, to get himself into the third place spot. And by the way, about a lap and a half after taking about 2 laps after taking the lead from Red Fire, Leo Lund is nearly 3 seconds ahead of TB.
We saw what he was capable of in these conditions in Singapore. You don't want to put Leo in the wet conditions, because we could see some scary things happen, and KVS got the move done on Tadpole right there. So will Tadpole continue to help out his Academy teammate Gecko with faster cars approaching behind? We'll find out. Skither has a train forming with Knights and Ding here. Remember, Ding picked up a penalty a few laps ago, and Miniko is behind Cryptic, who pitted a lap later. That's how bad it really went for Miniko, who also was caught up by the double stack there as well. Reese is on the back of Tadpole, and we now have a move being made in front. We have 2 moves being made. KVS parks the bus right in front of Red Fire as he gets the lunge complete, and Reese also gets ahead of Tadpole right there in the process. What great racing have we seen here from the conditions change over here in this battle to overtake cars that you may not think you're racing usually. Here goes Reese once again down the inside, side by side. Hello, Cookie. Welcome back to the fight. He's right behind Reese, but ahead of Tadpole now. And Reese has Cookie, his TP on the inside, almost 3 wide. Oh, boy.
Reese tried to get past Red Fire, but Red Fire covered him off, and unfortunately that allowed Cookie to get by. I was thinking
Right to again.
Red Fire almost lost it in that corner there, kept it cool, but that's going to cost him quite a bit as Reese slingshots past Red Fire to get himself into P6. And Korsman's right behind Red Fire.
Are sliding around. Add Korsman to this train now. He's up there. He took advantage for Haas. Further back, it's Knights, who has lost any chance of being within a second of Skither there in that train, and we now have more moves. Red Fire is trying to defend on Korsman. Further back, Cryptic also gets Wavy Knife right here. Cryptic's in a 3-car battle with Wavy and Miniko. Red Fire has been overtaken by Korsman, so Red Fire, who is at one point the leader of this race momentarily, is now down to 8th. We have Cryptic, Wavy, Miniko, almost 3 wide right here. Miniko gets boxed in. We have so much action through this whole field, and you would think it's in the dries, but we're racing it out quite heavily in the wet conditions on the inters. There's contact. Cryptic and Miniko. Miniko almost had a place, but now loses one. And also, whatever happened to Cam, Miniko gets another penalty. Whatever happened to Cam, he has lost the place to JTK and lost A whole second right there. Sorry to cut in.
Oh, good. But yeah, the Inters are really playing well for some of these guys, but not being nice to others. But speaking of which, I just did a little check the top 3 in regards to the warnings. Leo and TB at the moment have 1 warning apiece. Gecko is at 2 track limit warnings. If he gets another, he will be finding himself in the penalty box, and that would not be good if KBS reels him in and beats within 3 seconds of him. That could be spelling disaster for Gecko to look for a shot at a podium.
This is the day Leo Lund could win the championship. He is out in front by 5 seconds as we go on to lap 11. Wavy Knife gets into the penalty club as well. Also for second place in this race, Gecko goes for it. Huge send down into turn 1. Gecko is through and ahead of the Red Bull. Now Gecko can fight this out and have a chance for another podium. But TB is trying to go on the inside, and it's almost a collision of the S's, but they figure it out. Get back single file. Cam goes to the pits. I'm wondering if this is a front wing change. With whatever happened with JTK or whoever he was around, he was not having the best of times. It's actually just another set of inters. So did Cam overheat his tires, or are tires wearing that quickly? They were only on 8-lap inners right there. Those guys who ended up pitting under the safety car.
Well, I was gonna say, bear in mind, a couple of Fire and Tadpole, they lasted. Well, Tadpole and Cam, they lasted 2 laps and the dry conditions on those inters, and a few laps on dries, and same with Red Fire. He actually lasted a little longer. So inters on a dry track, that can actually spell doom and gloom if you're not careful, because it'll shred apart your tires if you're not careful. And I just saw, by the way, into that heavy braking zone before the end of sector 2, Cookie down the inside against KVS takes 4th place.
That might explain why Red Fire has been put so vulnerable in that Williams to losing so many places. We have Tadpole and Skither now wheel to wheel. A little bit of contact right on the edge, them two are. And Skither is ahead of Tadpole now. So I'm interested to see if those tires are wearing so quickly. Regardless, do we see drivers like Leo and others go for a 2-stop during this race? Skither down the inside of Red Fire and gets ahead of the Academy teammate. So Minico got a penalty entering the pits, and JTK got a penalty for multiple warnings before entering the pits when he was making a move on another driver. So for those of you who missed some of those penalties in the Twitch chat wondering what they were for, that is what happened. Speaking of penalties, here's one driver with a penalty making a move on the other driver in the same green car, just different teams. Ding ahead of Tadpole and Red Fire.
Dinging ahead of Tadpole and Red Fire. That's going to knock Tadpole out of the points at the moment. Well, I mean, these S's are, as I mentioned earlier, are not nice in regards to tire wear if you have your pressures wrong. Or not only that, not only if you have your pressures wrong, but also the differential. If you have your differential set up the wrong way, that could also shred apart your tires too. But I think because of those S's and that long sweeping right-hander in 17 and 18, I would not be surprised if the guy said pitted when the rain first showed up. I would not be surprised if they wind up doing another stop a little later on.
We have a battle down the back straight. Knights is overtaking Tadpole. Is he going to get Red Fire at the same time, who's just sliding and struggling in front? Knights squeezes Tadpole onto the curb. That's place contested right there. In front of Tadpole are 2 drivers who could slip up and give him a point spot here in the Sauber. Remember, Sauber, they're 9th in the Constructors, only just ahead of Williams by a few points. Knights are on the outside, the long way around here at the triple right. There's contact. They're still leaning on one another. They save it. They keep themselves alive, but Knights gets the place over Red Fire, and Red Fire says, I'm going to go for a switcheroo here. A little bit more contact down into turn 20. Andretti corner. Red Fire's ahead. And they're still racing it out. We have JTK and Tadpole in the background also wanting in the action. 2x2 down the main straight.
Yeah, I mean, in JTK's case, he needs to get himself back past some of these guys. It's Knights down the inside in turn 1 to reclaim that P10 back. In GTK's case, he needs to get past these guys in order to get himself back into the points. Because, bear in mind, both Ferrari and Aston Martin are at risk of being eliminated from the Constructors' Championship hunt. They need good results in order to do so. I mean, in Ferrari's case, if they get themselves both cars into the points, I think they might live to see another day because with McLaren, Leo is currently the leader. However, Hunted, messed up by that double stack, is all the way down at P17.
Reese Dainty is trailing KVS, but only just barely here in the braking zone. Reese looks to try and make the move, but he does not do that. That's not capable of happening. Down the back straight, wheel-to-wheel action with Red Fire and Tadpole. This is for 12th place. These two battled quite a bit back in Season 8. Now they're battling in Season 11 and leaning on each other again. They are. You got to be very careful not to crash. There's been a few times where they've been on the edge of crashing, these two. And they're in backmarker cars. This is the battle between two teams, 9th and 10th in the Constructors, as we said. Might not mean a lot, but they have a point spot right in front of them. And with their strategy, if things all go to plan, maybe it could go their way. Tadpole and Red Fire, you can see just very, very loose in the rear. Both of them just drifting around the corners. Look at this. This is like rally racing with them two, with the way they're struggling for grip and losing the rear. And here goes Tadpole, letting Red Fire go there, interestingly enough. I don't know why he would have let him go, but we have the race leader, Leo Lund, out to a 10-second gap now. What?
Right, slipstream games between Red Fire and Tadpole here. So, Gecko almost lost it. Coming out of turn 6, but keeps it in well tune. By the way, in regards to the live Constructors Championship right now, Leo Lund is in the lead, and he has the fastest lap, by the way. He'll have 26 points. If the race ended as it is
here we go,
now,
dive bomb! Reese on KVS. Sorry to cut in, but KVS was very vulnerable right there, and that move was coming for a while. Reese Dainty could not complete it. TB is boosting to try and get Gecko. Is he going for it? He's got his teammate there in the background to assist him. TB is behind Gecko still.
Yeah, quite the action-packed race here as TV down the inside gets past Gecko on the first switchback, but Gecko was thinking of responding in for the second one, but just couldn't get the grip down right to get that there. But yeah, Gecko is a little bit on the vulnerable side. So now, with that change in mind, as Gecko now loses, possibly he's going to lose third place to Cookie. Oh, and he does get a penalty because of it. That is going to hurt him. But now with Cookie and TB sitting 2-3, that means right now they are looking at 33 points total. And crazily, for the first time in 6 weeks, they are going to gain ground in the Constructors fight. They are going to gain 7 points on McLaren and the Constructors.
Cryptic just got himself a time penalty for the first time in this race. Red Fire is in. Reese Dainty was getting quite racy with KVS into turn 1. Leo Lund, our race leader, is now a part of the penalty club as well. Further behind, we had racing between Cryptic and Minico. But for Red Bull's case, I mean, they'll keep themselves in the Constructors fight no matter what tonight. It's about Ferrari and Aston, who currently do not. They need to outscore McLaren in order to do that. And right now with our race leader having the 12-second gap he does, that's not doable at all, especially considering that Ferrari only have their cars 4 and 10. We have a swap between both Red Bulls now. Cookie in front of TB, then Gecko. Gecko got that penalty while racing these guys, but he's had a bit of history with Cookie, so I think it's smarter on his side to play things out the way he did. Reese still cannot get through on NRM KVS right here for 5th place. And while that was happening, Devastating Riz, also known as Korsman, got a track limit penalty.
Yeah, that must, like I said, I was just mentioning about the life.
Whoa! Minico and Cryptic, that was major down the straight. That could have ended in a bad crash. Cryptic went defensive and Minico almost plowed the back of the V-Carb.
That would have been awful. That wound up happening, and that would have been a devastating incident for both cars there. But yeah, right back to the live constructors result. At this present time and moment, going into Brazil next week, it is going to be Red Bull versus McLaren. Because at this present moment, JK is going to have to gain a few more spots, and Gecko's going to have to regain some ground. But Ferrari, at this moment, are looking on the outside in by 14 points. So they need to crawl back quite a bit of gap in order to get themselves out of it. But Aston Martin, by the way, who are a little bit further behind, they need a mountain of points here. And for well, basically a miracle and sudden disasters happen to both Red Bulls and the McLarens in order to see themselves stay in the hunt.
Moments ago, by the way, hold on, Reese Dainty is on the inside of KVS once again. Moments ago, Hunted overtook Wavy and then got a penalty. Wavy went to the pits, and so did Tadpole. Are we seeing some drivers go for new tires and two stops here? Will we see the rest of the field join in? Right now, we have Reese Dainty on the inside of KVS. KVS turns in. There's contact made. Korsman waits to sit in the background and have a little fun there. Skither waits in the wings as well, further behind to get to this fight. And nearly 3 wide right there as those drivers are fighting on the limit. Here's Reese Dainty on the inside again. He is really fighting this in the V-Carb for 5th place. Remember, KVS and Reese, no penalty. Korsman has one. And Cookie, speaking of penalties, has got himself also in the penalty box.
Yeah, penalties galore to these guys, and Cookie, his was on the exit of turn 19 as Korsman is coming in. And by the way, when Wavy came in, he actually went in the pits with the rest of the field, minus those couple that stayed out. So yeah, the tires are probably not playing nice to a lot of these guys. So probably these guys in the top 3, don't be surprised to see them coming in very soon.
And Leo has pulled the gap to where he can come out right around this KVS and Reese battle, maybe in fact in front of it with the gap we're seeing form right now. We have Tadpole and Cam, 2 Sauber teammates, making a lot of contact right there at the back of the field and racing it out for pretty much just about last place. Cam argy-bargy with Tadpole, and these 2 highlighter cars trying to give us some highlights while they're having a little bit of fun. In the meantime, Reese on the inside of KVS. Yeah, that got very close. Very touchy there. Reese finally ahead of KVS. It finally happened. In front, do we see the Red Bulls swap? No, but they're closing in on one another. And there's a teammate swap further behind. It's Skither in front of KVS this time. We've got lots of action, and Skither almost clipped Reese in the braking zone. Cam is in the penalty club too. That now means we've got 13 drivers in this race with a penalty.
There's a few that still haven't been in trouble in the penalty box as of yet. So keep an eye out for drivers that will come in at some point. As some of these guys are coming out, are working their way through and over. TB is the first one to jump. TB is heading in.
So is Reese. Reese joins him.
Too, yeah.
I'm surprised none of the Merc boys joined him because you don't want a double stack right there. Lap 18 of this race, Leo Ludden, 17-second gap. I know you see safety car on the top of our screen, but we are under green flag conditions and have been for over 10 laps. So EA, I don't want to say anything that's going to get us banned, but I don't like you. I'll say that. How's that? Wavy Knife moments ago got a 3-second time penalty, and I feel like Cam, who just blatantly cut the corner 10 seconds a moment ago, I think he's just trying to have fun and stay with Tadpole right now because really they're not in a fight to finish in the points. Looked like they were gonna be, but someone who also was gonna be was Red Fire, who's just hanging on over Dom.
Yeah,
the rain has picked up, by the way.
What was that?
The rain has picked up, by the way. I don't know if it's enough for wets. I doubt it, but I just put it out there in case anybody does. Don't be surprised. It has picked up.
Well, there you go, then. Well, it looks like some of the guys at the pit in TB and Reese. TB, he came out ahead of FRC Knights in the P7 spot. Reese is ahead of Minico in P10. But there are some guys that are still yet to pit. But the wild thing is that when Reese, when he came in, the driver that bested him was Korsman. Korsman pitted a lap earlier than Reese. He's ahead of him in 9th place.
Please tell me you see the same thing I'm seeing. Cam, are you okay? I get it's your home race and you want to have a little bit of fun, but why are you on the dry tires? Cam is on softs if you're not seeing the screen correctly.
Well, didn't I I have no idea what one wool he's doing.
Well, it's not been his day. It's fair to at least say
Oh,
that.
Leo almost lost out of 7.
TB almost had the same thing happen in turn 19. And speaking of turn 19, Leo Lund cut the corner there moments ago. I wonder if he got a track limit warning for that. We have a Haas dipping to the pits. That is Miniko boxing once again. Remember, he's had so much trouble this race so far with where he was at. When everything cycled out, he was down in 17th, 16th area.
He did.
And we've got Ding and Cryptic racing it out, 2 old teammates.
Yeah, so to answer your question, yeah, Leo did get a warning for that. For
Good.
that part here.
Don't want to exploit stuff like that, you know? What are the penalty times looking like?
All right. Horseman, by the way, he's all over the back of FRC Knights.
Yeah, that's for P8 on our running order. Here he comes. Is he going to go to the inside or outside? Outside he goes. Knights, I think, just lets him go. Korsman breezes by. And Goatley was wondering in the Twitch chat what the penalty situation looks like. We have it up on your screen. No driver has over 6 seconds of penalties as we stand right now. But as we were saying earlier, I said 13. I'll correct myself now. 12 drivers are in the penalty club. Here are the following drivers who are not in it. We have Skither and KVS, both Merc boys. TB, Knights, and Reese. Dom, and Tadpole. Those are your drivers not having a penalty alongside their name in this race. Does anybody come in as things stand? Let's see. Anybody pitting this time? Not in the top 3. So either they're going to stick it out or they're going to wait as long as they can or, you know, not know what they're doing. I don't know. I mean,
we'll have to
some
wait
guys
and
are
see,
coming for
but
crew stop.
well, hands on the wets.
Well, you switched it back over. Maybe he's going to be a test dummy for some of these guys, maybe? Is that what some of these guys are waiting for? Why they've not pitted? That's a big question. Knights is in. Does he go to the wets too? Nope. Inners. Yeah. I mean, it's a possibility to go to the wets, but if it's gonna die back
GTK.
down to... Yeah. It's... Oh! TB!
Oh, he snuck a peek.
Yeah, he did. That could have been catastrophic too. I was just gonna say, I think Cam is being a test dummy right now for it to see if it works out. That's what I think. Here goes TB to the inside. Big send here on JTK. JTK tries to switcheroo, and he cannot pull off the cutback. TB is through. So TB is the first of the guys who pitted onto fresh inters. Then you have Korsman and Reese. But everybody has stayed out, besides that, really, inside the top 8-9 spots on their old intermediates. So they're going to be either, 1, risking a puncture, 2, not risking a puncture and tire saving well, or 3, waiting to see if it's enough for wets anyways. Does it end up getting to that point? Well, Goatley mentioned in the Twitch chat, I mean, he would know better than us. I mean, I don't really race as much on F124 anymore. Full wets are useless, so don't get trolled. I think that's a smart choice in the end, as Miniko is ahead of Red Fire for now. And he is ahead of Red Fire. He clears him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take a peek at TB for his time. He got a 45.6 on that last lap. Let's take a look at Leo Lund's time. It's the wildest thing. TB 45.6 on his 3rd lap of inters. Well, Leo Lund on his 13 lap old inters set a lap that is a 10th faster than TB.
Wow. Well, I'll say this. We've got 8 laps remaining, and Leo Lund, if he stays where he's at, he wins the title today. He would become the first driver's champion for McLaren, but also the 8th different champion in RPL F1. It would be the 4th season in a row, with a brand new champion.
Yeah, Season 8 being Season 8 of TB, Season 9 Reese, and Season 10 of Cookie. Will Leo, if Leo keeps his momentum strong, will he be joining that illustrious club?
Yellow flags. That is for
That's
Wavy
wavy.
Knife. Off into the
Not
wall. He just
surprised.
picked up his third track limit penalty just moments ago. And before that, it was Hunted who picked up another penalty as well. We see that on the side of our screen currently, while Korsman has got now 6 seconds of penalties. He says he hates the track. Well, no surprise to see him in the penalty club, considering that statement might be true. Lap 22 of this race, and we have the safety car thing
Finally gone
on our
end.
screen, because there was yellow flags for the first time since the safety car, which is very good from these drivers not to cause any since then. It took, what, 14, 18 laps? Not bad.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Just taking a look again at this previous lap. Actually, it fared better. I think maybe that lap that TV had, who just got himself into the penalty box now, as Cryptic also joins them.
Gecko too.
TV, his warning, his lap that he just did, the last lap I think was a bit of a scrub lap, as Reese on the outside clears Korsman to get himself in 8th place, where he would have taken it because of Korsman's penalties. Now he's hunting down JTK, and he will take that spot because he is over 2 seconds back as Wavy has retired in the pits.
That is our second driver we have lost from the event, our first in 21 laps, but nonetheless, only 2 retirements from this race is not bad considering the conditions for these drivers. Hunted, boosting, and using that overtake button to try and get by Cryptic. He'll go to the inside. Cryptic will defend a little bit, but he realizes this is kind of game over with this being a McLaren that he is racing.
We got a fight up ahead. 3rd place, Skither has caught up to Gecko. Gecko is struggling horribly.
And Skither has not had a podium this season. He'll get onto the podium right now.
On the inside and around and through, Skither up into 3rd place. But yeah, so that last lap that I was trying to mention before TB got that penalty, TB, the lap 21 lap was a bit of a scuff one because lap 22, TB 1.1 seconds faster than Leo Lund.
Cryptic darts off into the pit lane, and meanwhile, you spoke about TB. Well, he has just overtaken NRM KVS right there for the position.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very smart move. And Cryptic is onto a fresh set of inters. Skither has had 50 podiums in RPL, and in fact, of those 50, all of them have come in the last 5 seasons. He's trying to make it a 6th consecutive season on the RPL podium, and this would be, in fact, if he does do it, Skither, he's on those old inters, but going quite strong to say the least, it would be our 16th different podium sitter on the season. We had 16 up there last season. It would not be a record for most amount in a season, but it would tie what we had last season with less races in this season.
Yeah, and with TB getting past KVS, now his focus is seeing if he could try to catch Gecko, who is still struggling on those tires. Maybe TB could try to steal 4th position. By the way, as Reese on the inside does the hunted maneuver against GTK, and he's up in the 7th.
Very neatly done from
there.
Reese. Yeah, he could also take on Gecko here if he keeps up the lightning speed that he has had, because remember, Reese is on new inters where Gecko is not. So that 6 second that Gecko had there, yeah, that could come quite handy for guys like TB and Reese, who are not far behind and gaining ground quite quick. Korsman is on the back of Academy teammate JTK and using some energy to get there. He's on the button. Does he go for it? Down the inside. Oh, almost contact between 2 Academy teammates. And Minico is also up to 9 seconds on penalties. One other thing while we look at this battle between JTK and Korsman I want to take note of as Hunted comes in. This is a champion drive from Leo Lund right here. What a great day to win the championship on a day where you can win the championship by winning the race by 25 plus seconds.
Yeah, that's it. This is a really strong drive from Leo. Ooh, yeah, Korsman. Ooh, tight tight and wild. He does it here, and who's the tail that wags the dog from behind? It's Ding. He goes in and takes ninth place.
Ding, ding. He's up a place. How about that? He's going to go for
And
another.
by the way, just a little bit ago when you were mentioning about Reese wanting to catch up to Gecko, the last lap, Gecko 48.8 was his last lap. Reese 45.2. So Reese over 3.5 seconds faster on the last lap.
JTK is trying to re-inherit the place, but he just couldn't do it. Ding is doing a great job with this defensive masterclass over the Ferrari, a car that's slower than his, to say the least. Korsman is also right there as well. Remember, Ding, Korsman, and JTK have penalties. Now Ding has another one. I was going to say Ding would be winning out to Korsman in the penalty fight, but no longer is the case. And TB clears Gecko for 4th place. So TB doesn't need to rely on the penalties to do that anymore. Also, he's coming quick to get to teammate Cookie and also Skither. We're seeing the 2 previous champions, and now make it 3 with TB here, all fighting it out for the podium places with a few laps remaining. Leo Lund leads this race on track by 27.5 seconds. It was last season in China that he made his RPL F1 debut. We raced in China earlier today in RPL F2. He made his debut and he won there. It seems like wherever he goes, he seems to win. It was a podium and an Alpine there last season on debut, and he got the promotion to McLaren. And the 15-year-old Swedish driver has been on it. A rocket ship since, to say the least.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And speaking of which, by the way, I'm just checking on the board. Guess who's catching up to another driver? Reese is in pursuit of KVS 6th.
We've got a 4-car race, 4 cars under a blanket for last place. Cam's a lap down. Tadpole, Cryptic, and Hunted are fighting for 15th. That is something to watch while this battle reigns on. Leo Lund is on to lap 26 and still pulling a gap. If these guys fight it out so aggressively, we can see the largest margin of victory happen. Skither, yes, has been overtaken by the Season 8 champion of TB. TB's up to 3rd. Now, if TB doesn't get Cookie quick here, this could be very interesting for Skither, because although he has him currently on penalties, that could change on track. TB, currently behind Cookie, pulls out, Slingshots is ahead. TB is up to 2nd in this race now. And maybe more to come.
Now in Cookie's case, he's going to have to keep Skither behind TB, behind them, so TB can pull the gap.
Ding. Dive bomb. He goes for the lunge and is ahead of Korsman now. They were even on the penalty race, but right now, it's Ding ahead on track, completing the overtake. And Race Dainty and KVS tried to go side by side at the S section. Race Dainty needs to get ahead of KVS if he wants to have a chance. Look at the overtake right there. Similar to what we saw with Egg and Matty Bassett last season in this race. A similar move earlier to what we saw with JTK and the Haas, and Cookie has been overtaken.
That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt TV's odds.
Well, also, Skither's trying to get him on track too.
Back.
Big fight into Sector 3. Skither hangs on for now. Cookie wants it back. Cookie has to settle for another one and tuck back in. Remember, TB has the fresh tires. Skither and Cookie do not. Skither went for another defensive move here with Cookie. We'll go on to lap 27, 2 laps to go. If Leo Lund hangs on, he claims the championship tonight.
I was gonna say if Cookie didn't get a little loose out of 14, I was gonna say do a hunted overtake in the second switchback.
And speaking of Hunted, he's going to make the move on Red Fire here down this back straight. Both of them are on the overtake button. Red Fire was very strong at the start of this race, but right now that doesn't seem to matter. Hunted is just trying to fight for his own pride and not to finish any worse than he already is. And Red Fire currently hangs on for the time being, but goes a little deep. And Hunted, who's on the fresher tires, will go the long way around to try and retake this place, but Red Fire shuts the door. Oh, baby.
By the way, take a look at this, by the way. Gecko, who has 6 seconds of penalties. Reese is 1.8 behind him. KBS, 3.7 behind him. So Gecko is looking to lose 2 positions at the end of this race.
You said this in qualifying. I'll say it again in the race. Do not count Reese Dainty out.
Gecko's losing it. Gecko's slipping. Something's wrong.
Gecko's got a puncture.
Left rear.
Yes. And now we got to watch out for our race leaders if they pick up one as well. With 2 laps remaining, here come the punctures. It's first, Red Fire. KVS is losing a lot of ground too. Does he have one as well? Or is he just losing grip? Contact! Korsman and Ding! I was just going to say earlier, you said don't count Reese out. Don't count Reese out to get to Cookie in the closing stages. Could he be on for a podium for V-Carb if the punctures do come to Skither as well? We've got lots of movement all going on behind the driver with a puncture. Gecko losing tons of ground, losing tons of time. Final lap underway. Leo Lund could become a brand new champion tonight, but the focus is the punctures. Korsman gets through, Ding gets through, and now we got a collision at turn 1. That is Cam off.
Going way off. Cam's now 2 laps down.
Oh boy. And KVS gets through on Gecko, who's just trying to nurse it around with that puncture. Race Dainty is 4.7 back from Cookie. He needs 1.7 to get a P4 finish in this race for V-Carb. And he would need a puncture from Skither if he wants to get the podium. Skither is also only 4/10 off TB. Right now it'd be a podium, but he could be taking P2 if anything changes there.
I'm looking at Leo's tires. I don't see a puncture on him. He's
And even if he gets one, he should be fine. He should be fine even if he gets one. He has the gap, Leo does.
Mm-hmm.
It would be very big if he did get a puncture and lost it anyway.
Yeah.
Ding and Korsman are fighting it out. Hunted and Dom are fighting it out. We will switch back to them in a few moments' time. Leo Lund came into RPL last season in China and made his debut in the Alpine, getting a podium finish on his debut. And since then, he has been electric. Winning this race tonight will tie him all-time across all tiers with Iran Maxwell G for the most wins by a Swedish driver. He won't care about that, though. What he'll care about is what he's claiming right now. And as he comes now to the final corner for the final time, this kid has been on it. He's something special, PSGL and esports. Leo Lund is the brand new RPL champion. He takes the Season 11 championship 5 rounds early. The fake TB got new tires on his car to claim a P2. It's his best finish of the season in a full-time car. Remember, he was moved up to Red Bull. Skither, another season on the RPL podium. It's podium 51. And to the line, Reese Dainty gets Cookie for 4th. By 1/10.
Cow.
Ding got 6th. Just to be passed by KVS on the penalties. Korsman is 8th. JTK didn't have enough devastating riz to beat Korsman. Knights hangs on to the last point spot. Leo Lund wins by the biggest gap we have seen in RPL in quite a few seasons. To the line we fight with Cryptic and Dom. Cryptic closed the door and closes in on a P13 finish on track. Dom didn't have any penalties. He took advantage of Gecko, who had the puncture, and still finished this race without having to pit. He nursed it around the last few laps with that puncture. P13. Minicoa first one outside the points, and also, look who else has a puncture. Tadpole.
Tadpole has a puncture after 12 laps. Good lord. And by the way, I just saw on the thing for Leo, Leo, 84% on the left rear.
Wow.
And Skither, 78%.
For
Jace
Leo
King at
Lund,
90.
Wow. For Leo Lund, he will tie Maxwell and Portly Boot on the all-time win list with that win for P7. 10 wins on the season for Leo Lund. And he may just be the youngest champion in RPL. We had Skither at 15 years of age a few years ago. Leo Lund isn't even old enough for esports yet, and this kid is on it. The Swedish driver has won once again, and this, his most dominant victory in RPL, Leo Lund has won the championship. Almost
Look at
30 seconds is
celebration
insane. I agree with
going
the
on.
Twitch chat. I agree with that.
Yeah. Wow. What? That was a wild race. And then just seeing, I mean, Leah Lund doing really good. And I'm gonna say truthfully, I mean, definitely gonna give my congrats to Leah Lund. He's for winning the world championship and definitely a good contender for driver today. Some other contenders that are in there, TB and Reese. They took the gamble doing a second stop on those inter tires, finishing second and fourth respectively. Good job for those guys. I mean, and they that was actually pretty good for them. But I mean, and also a heartbreak of the race is gonna have to go to Gecko. Gecko was struggling on those tires, and then the left rear quit on him on the penultimate lap. That is going to hurt. That's going to eat him up just a little bit, and he was down. I believe it's like 12th or something. But that is a big heartbreak for Gecko there.
Leo Lund is my driver of the day, but I want to give some shout outs to Reese Dainty, Korsman, and Skither. Drivers who fought at the front of the field last season but had got great finishes today in certain circumstances. Skither, another season on the RPL podium. It's tying second all time with Reese for podium 51. And for TB, by the way, just outside information since we were talking about podium amount, congrats on podium 50, TB. That's a big effort and a big congrats there, a big achievement from him. Korsman, 7th on the Haas. That's one of my contenders. And as I said, Reese P4 in the V-Carb. You don't usually see that every day, especially in races that you don't have safety cars occur constantly. And that's what happened in races like Miami and other ones. We saw TB up there. And not to discredit TB at all in the races for V-Carb. He ran quite well. He was always beating some teams up there in the top 5 that are always up there like Aston and Merc and Ferrari. But the fact of the matter is Reese did that without having to rely on a lot of crashes at all, which is really impressive to say the least, that he finally has maybe got that motivation back that he once had for sure. We'll be giving Leo Lund an interview in a moment, but for Leo, he now has won the same amount of races in RPL as Ira and Maxwell G across all tiers, that is. Maxwell won 10 in tier 1, that's the same amount he has, and Leo Lund won in F2 earlier today. Same amount Maxwell has, 1 win. So
and his margin of victory is now the new largest gap to what it was this season, because
yes.
the previous one was last week in Singapore, 16.45 seconds. Now it's over 23 seconds. That is the new largest gap that we've had this season.
Also, if you want to take things into a broader context as well, on the last F1 game, our largest margin of victory in any tier came in Season 9 Monaco, 21.5 seconds. We've not had a gap that big in any tier since, what, like F1 22? Maybe F1 21? We go quite a ways back, with that being said. The largest margin of victory, ironically, was set by the other Swedish driver, Iran Maxwell G, Season 5 Monaco. That was 42 seconds over the next best driver.
It was over 40 seconds.
Yeah. And you spoke about heartbreaks there. The only other heartbreak I think we need to mention is, besides Gecko, is the guys who got fisted by the double stack there.
Yeah, Hunted, JTK, though, they got brutally affected by the double stack, and they just could not recover because of that. And
Yeah.
it is quite unfortunate. I will not lie, because once you if you get affected by the double stack, it is, unless you have the really good skill to carve your way through the field, get the positions back that you lost, it is very difficult to basically come back from a double stack.
Yeah, you better have a lot of pace if you're going to come back from the double stack. But as we always do every season, Titan, we have the champion here in a Discord call right now to give him an interview. Welcome along, Leo Lund. Congrats on being the new RPL champion. I want to talk about things besides that first before we get to the championship that you just won. you just won the race by over 25 seconds at the front of the field. Tell me what you were thinking through that race with the gap you were able to pull and the cars you had to get through when you pitted later than some did. And also, talk me through the chance of having almost a puncture at the end of that race on the 84% tire wear you had.
Um, uh, yeah, I made the setup for the rain, of course, because I knew it was gonna come like that late, and the safety car made it come earlier. So, but yeah, I knew the pace was there because I feel very more comfortable in the race and the quali. So, and yeah, I was just trying to manage the tires so much I could. So I did not get a puncture, but it was very close.
A lot of these races you have dominated and you've won sometimes by 2 seconds, 4 seconds, 10 seconds. What does it mean winning by even a bigger margin? Do you feel like you're a better driver in the wet with what you showed today compared to the dry, or is it just circumstantial and track dependent for you?
I think I'm better in the wet if I have a good setup in the wet, yeah. But yeah, it can depend on what track and setup, of course.
So you become RPL F1's 8th different champion, the first driver from your country to do it, and potentially the youngest champion as well in RPL, with that being said. What goes through your mind being able to work a full season through this in the McLaren, what arguably is the best car, and make sure you perfect every race to the way you have this season? You've won 10 of the 16 races done, and we still have more to go. What does the championship mean to you?
Um, it means good, I guess. Yeah.
You've had teammates kind of change throughout the season a little bit too. You had Hunted at one point. You had Jack, as you have now. Jack wasn't here today. You missed the event. You had Minako to start the season as well. For a driver like yourself, even though you didn't really have much with it for the Drivers' Championship when we went to the second half of the season, we still have the Constructors' Championship that still needs to be wrapped up. What does that mean when you have, or at least for you, what does that mean when you have, I guess in a way, some instability in your in who's your teammate? Does that affect, I guess, how you get through the field if you get caught in traffic? Does that kind of change things for you, or do you just do your own thing and then, race your own race?
I just do my own race.
And lastly, 10 wins in RPL F1 now on the season. 5 victories in a row with that being said. I know you want to beat Luke's 15 in a row for sure, but only 4 times previously has a driver in RPL F1 went 5 wins in a row. I know you'd love to win them all. I get it. But how many do you think you're going to keep getting in a row here? And do you see this streak of momentum continuing throughout the remainder of the season and onto next?
I think I can get every win. I mean, yeah, at every track that's left. Because I've improved a bit more now this game. And yeah, I've learned the setups a bit more, so I'm a bit quicker now.
And lastly, with that being said, a few races this season, you've definitely had a lot more good races and bad races, but you've had a few races where things did not go your way, and Baku and Austria, and I think there's maybe one other that is probably on that list that I'm forgetting. What has helped you through the bad races in order to get yourself better in the good races throughout the whole RPL season?
Can you repeat that again? Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're all good. I was just going to say, you've had a few bad races this season, and everyone has bad races. You've had a lot more good races than bad races. I was going to say, for example, races like Austria and Baku you had go on. What has helped you in the bad races that has made you learn better for the good races that you've had happen?
Like, not do the overtakes as fast as I can, maybe wait a bit, play it smart, and just do it as safe as I can because I know I have the best car and I know I can overtake them, but I don't have to do it like instantly.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely patience is a big key that everyone learns at some point, and I think you definitely have showed a lot of that learning throughout the season. With that being said, congratulations on the victory. Congratulations on the championship. RPL Titan Iron, he's my co-com. He's, I believe, the co-TP of your academy that you're in. Do you have any questions, Titan, for our champion Leo? I've turned Titan up, therefore you should be able to hear him.
Honestly, I think almost pretty much all the questions that you asked him, you was pretty much on my mind. But I mean, Leo, I gotta hand it to you. Congrats for winning the championship. Uh, it's really wild to see what you started last season in China, putting it onto the podium in your first ever run, to then coming up to here in the McLaren, winning races, becoming champion. Is this like strong performance that you have done for season 11 and in the debut of season 10? Is this a prelude of what's to come in season 12?
Um, no, I don't know. If I practice more, yes, I can be much quicker. But I often practice like 15, 20 minutes. I only do like one session. Maybe I do like some TT a day before, but if I practice much more, I can definitely, yeah, do bigger gaps.
Sweet. But yeah, congrats again on the drivers championship. I'm hoping for McLaren will pull off and lock out the constructors championship as well. I'm rooting for you, my man. You got this. Congrats, man. Enjoy the championship.
Thanks.
Yep, congrats, Leo, and I'll leave you to it. Enjoy the celebrations.
Bye bye.
Titan, Leo's first race in China, we saw some crazy stuff happen in that race. I know you'll remember it. We had a late safety car occur, and before that safety car occurred, um, we had drivers still yet to pit. Leo Lund and Carlson were two drivers who Cookie brought into the league, who were battling Cookie, funny enough, who had pitted, and were yet to pit in that race. Well, what happened in front was Carlson backed off to try and get DRS. Cookie saw him do that, and Leo Lund made a double overtake at China in the first corner of Sector 3 there. So ever since this kid's first race in this league, we've seen magical things happen, and I don't think we're done seeing it. I think, I know he's had a few races where, we just spoke about his patience in Baku and Austria and races that didn't go his way. He seemed to have figured that out, and it doesn't matter to him. It doesn't matter if you put him down in 10th like you did in Bahrain, or put him at the back of the field like in Monza, where things happen there. He will still find a way to win the race. You might need to set a little bounty on him to, not have that happen, but for... it depends on who's good at crashing. Maybe we can put Wavy Knife up to the test, or Blue Goggy. But in all honesty, though, and that's a joke, but in all honesty, though, for Leo Lund's case, I do think we got to start asking the question of most consecutive wins, which is 10 wins away. Most consecutive poles, which Leo has himself. His own record is at risk of 8 poles in a row. We got 5 in a row we got today. All those kind of questions, even for McLaren as a team, winning potentially 15 in a row. Maybe that's on. Those questions are serious questions we've got to start asking ourselves with what Leo Lund has been capable of doing. And another thing you mentioned about McLaren winning the title, they came into this season 11, with 11 wins to their name. How special would that be for them to wrap up the title soon, which they'll probably do anyway after Red Bull got, 2 and 5? I mean, they didn't maximize as much as they could, but, we know what happened.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And by the way, I just noticed. Something. We got like 5 individuals in the Chaos channel. I guess Reese has been. I'm not sure. I mean, if it is a possibility, I guess maybe Reese is currently going through a technical inspection.
Maybe. I think we're looking at it. I've clicked onto the stream. I've muted the audio there on that to check out. But yeah, I think you are correct by that actually, because P4 and a V carb is not everyday things. But I get why it does happen with some random PC drivers. Leo Lund had his stuff checked at one point, and this was at the Miami race where speed was checked. He was banned for being a Smurf, not for cheating, just to clarify. But
Yep.
you know, also known as Annex there. Leo Lund was checked that race, and he was all clear, all in the good there. But yeah, that would make sense, especially with who has joined him. You have teammate TB there, co-owner George, Owen, admin, Ding in there, admin. That would make sense with what Reese is streaming. But yeah, season 12 for Leo Lund is definitely going to be a big thing to look out for, because Luke started his glory at the start of season 3 and got all the way till Singapore, and then that's where things came crashing down and did not continue the winning streak. So for Leo, right now he's on a 5 in a row streak. And by the way, the last time a driver did 6 in a row was back in season 6 to season 7 when Skiller won from Japan to Baku. He did 9 wins in a row. But only 3 times we've seen a driver go 6 or more in a row. Luke Range did it in season 4 with 6 in a row. Skither 9 in a row, and Luke 15 in a row. I mean, you know, a lot of these records, we've got to ask ourselves, are they at risk now that Leo Lund has definitely figured things out? It looks like Reese's stream has ended there in the Chaos channel. I'm not going to listen into any audio with what's going on, but I'm going to check. Okay, nothing's in Reese's server, so he didn't say anything there. But yeah, I think everything's all in the clear there. But nonetheless, he had a good performance too. I mean, it is interesting to Cookie's point. He shows up after being demoted like that to do the good result.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Which, I mean, like I said, that race was a lot. That race was really wild to say the least. I mean, we had phenomenal racing in the wet. Even in the dry, we've seen some phenomenal overtakes as well, and we've even seen some shocks during that race. I mean, like I said, Gecko having that puncture right on the penultimate lap. That is, probably Gecko's probably kicking himself in the head for that. Unfortunately, but
Yeah.
you got to feel for him. He was running in
Yeah.
the top 5 for the entire time, and then the tires just decided to just go like, boy, nah, I'm not going to be playing nice. I'm going to be going on vacation.
That shows one of 2 things to me. Ferrari have not got their tire wear problem fixed, or the other thing being that Gecko is not good on his tire wear and just, you know, has not figured that out at all. It's still been 189 races since his last victory. Well, we will go to Brazil next week, and we've seen the constructors get wrapped up before there. We'll see if it does happen again. One final thing I want to mention on, I don't remember the last time in RPL F1 we had 3 champions on the podium. I know Leo Lund was not a champion before today, but he was on lap 28. And we had 3 champions come on the podium. Leo Lund, our season 11 champion. Skither, the 2-time champion. In his home race, he returns to the podium for the first time since the end of last season. How fitting. It's his home race. He gets his 51st podium, tying 2nd all time, and also getting himself up there for the 6th straight season. And for TB's case, a 50th podium, the season 8 champion. He's only one behind Reese now. The fact that TB has become the 4th driver to achieve that in RPL F1 is something quite magical. And, you know, we mentioned Leo's records with stuff like wins and everything else, Titan. Maybe the podium record that Luke Range has, 68 podiums to his name, is up for threatening at some point soon here, if these guys keep it up. That'll be a question worth asking throughout the week for sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Who will do it? I mean, I know Invade was joking in the chat as well about Leo Lund couldn't win the championship in a Sauber. I would love to see Leo Lund go to a worse team to win the championship. It'd be quite historic considering we're a realistic performance league. But nonetheless, we're going to end off tonight. We've been with you for the last 2 hours and 15 minutes here at RPL Formula 1. Tune into our YouTube where our races get uploaded and all of our other amazing things are up there too. Our stats sheets are all updated as well, so you can go over there and look at that. But nonetheless, Leo Lund is the brand new RPL champion. He's the champion of Season 11. Now it's McLaren's chance to do the same. We will be at Monza for Tier 3, Singapore for Tier 2 and F2, and back in Brazil, Sao Paulo for another season of RPL action there. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and RPL Titan Iron, who joins me. We're signing off. Have a good one. Have a great night. We will see you next time here at RPL Formula 1. Thank you for it all. We're so glad to have you join us each and every week for the action. We will see you next time at RPL Formula 1.